If you do those 6 things, I think you will be well on your way to actually greening the American economy, and you will grow the wealth, and GE and Cisco and the other people who are announcing great plans should be relatively happy with that. And any environmentalist who's not concerned about the distribution of that wealth should be relatively happy too.
That is amazing. We're going to green the economy, meaning GE is going to get rich. Isn't that weird? By the way, also all of his groups there, it's just kind of a coalition, quote, of unions, labor groups, community organizations, social justice advocates, socially responsible business, and elected officials. That's great. Like Green for All, Van Jones Group. Yeah. And his community organization is there, and AFL-CIO and SEIU. And you know, it's weird, on a completely unrelated story. Did you know that Van Jones Group launched a boycott of this show? That's weird. That's weird. There it is. Oh, and this is another one. This is in a completely unrelated note. Did you know that SEIU also organized a boycott of this show? Yeah. Oh, that's right. And this one, in a completely unrelated note. Did you know that the AFL-CIO launched an attack on this show? Watch, this one's great.
We're working to counter the Glenn Beck effect and turn anger into action for real change.
I wonder if they'll bury me in could it be the 50-yard line? I don't like the end zone. Would you bury me there? It's weird, isn't it? The trail of money leading to the green movement. Okay. So, Mr. President, I'm just looking here. I'm just thinking. It's not just internet, radio. Love him. He's fantastic. AFL-CIO. It's not as that. It's also NBC or MSNBC. We know they're trustworthy sources. We get the truth from NBC. We do. But remember, it's not just them. Nope, it's not. It's also Washington Post. Now remember, talk radio, cable, some blogs causing the problems. Not the Washington Post. Washington Post is a credible organization, home of Woodward and Bernstein, you know. They have no interest in looking into this. There's nothing to see here, people. Move on with your life. Move on. Yeah. Every single organization, Marxist, communist, people, GE, just directly profiteering from legislation. That's weird. And then the people who are silencing anybody who speaks out against it. Now, you wouldn't want to write a story like that in the Washington Post. No. This is crazy talk. That's what this is. But you know what is news in the Washington Post? This is interesting. I like this one. Here it is. Washington Post. Christians stand up to Glenn Beck. Oh, my good. Look at this. I didn't notice the byline. By Jim Wallace. This guy. This is so weird. This is what the Washington Post is spending their time on. Exposing me, Jim Wallace, writing a story. He's one of Obama's religious advisors and one of his political advisors there in the White House. Oh, and the founder of the Wallace Social Justice Group. And you know what's weird? He's also, these guys are boycotting the show here, and he is too. Isn't that weird? Wow, bummer for me that there are so many grassroots effort there to boycott the show. Washington Post probably doesn't even have time to report on the real news. They're too busy trying to merge with the Huffington Post. I've heard this before. I remember, the place that the president recommends that everybody goes for balanced news. Oh, it's weird. Now that I remember the Huffington Post, just a few days earlier, they posted an oddly similar story on me. The Jim Wallace in the Washington Post. Oh, this is it. Glenn Beck to Jesus. Drop dead. Yeah, it's strange because it's almost the same story that was written over here. But the president wants you to go to the Huffington Post for the truth. Well, that's good. I hope they are able to merge now. Of course, didn't the Huffington Post cost like $56 million? I doubt there's a progressive billionaire out there who'd be willing to dump any money into something like that, you know, except for somebody maybe like George Soros or Tides or the Joyce Foundation, because they were over here. The Joyce Foundation was over. Maybe they could. May I ask a question of the journalists? No, forget that. I've actually saved my breath on the journalists. Can I ask a question of all the parents, the uncles, the aunts, the sons, the daughters, anybody, a sibling of journalists? Could you just call your relative and say, why the hell aren't you reporting on any of this? What happened to you? Is there any family member out there that just kind of wonders, you know, when you get together for, you know, barbecues or something? But I digress. I am on the president's naughty list, and so is Fox and talk radio, and now the internet. But who's not? Well, one that's not on that naughty list, no way, shape, or form. The network funded by your tax dollars, PBS. Oh, they are, can I tell you something? They are so trustworthy. In fact, I feel bad for them. I hate to even bring them up because they just lost their electrifying host, Bill Moyers, to retirement. So now he's going to have more time to meet, you know, at Marxist meetings at church. You know, do you know that he goes to the United Church of Christ, which is the same denomination as Jeremiah Wright, which is weird. Anyway, when he was at church, they happened to petition the FCC, right here, media violence fast, take action, sign the letter. They wanted to look into hate speech on talk radio. What a coincidence, so does the president. Moyers has recently produced a special for PBS called The Net at Risk. This is a documentary featuring the SaveTheInternet.com coalition presented by Free Press. Free press, reform media, transform democracy. Ooh, that kind of sounds spooky, huh? Yeah, but that's what the president said we were going to do this weekend. Transform democracy. The urgent need for net neutrality. Do you know, I read about that special that Bill Moyers did with the Free Press. You'll never guess where. The Huffington Post. And here in New York tomorrow, the Free Press, a radical leftist group. Their goal is not free press or faster internet speeds. No. Robert McChesney, the founder, wants to destroy capitalism. They're having a little powwow tomorrow. Here's what he said in the past. Any serious effort to reform the media system would have to necessarily be part of a revolutionary program to overthrow the capitalist political economy. Uh-oh. Says there's no real answer but to remove brick by brick the capitalist system itself, rebuilding the entire society on socialist principles. This isn't going well, is it? We need to do whatever we can to limit capitalist propaganda, regulate it, minimalize it, and perhaps even eliminate it. What was it the president was saying just on Saturday? Oh, yeah. It's confusing. It's hard to know. So Free Press wants to take over, wants the government to take over the media. No, I don't want to just say that myself. I want you to hear it from them themselves. The government take over the media.
What if instead we took a few thousand AmeriCorps jobs and gave them to news-gathering organizations?
What if we just took AmeriCorps and just took it and had them just take over? The irony in front of the Free Press banner. Boy, somebody should read the Federalist Papers. What was it, number 10? McChesney also called for the government to bail out and take over the media in an opinion piece that ran in the Washington Post. The FCC also says they are marching forward, but a boot on your throat, announcing plans to make internet companies a public utility. Free Press just happens to have one of its former people sitting, where is he? Right here, FCC chairman. Guess who's an assistant? Former member of Free Press, now at the FCC. This is weird, because they're for net neutrality. The court shot that one down, but they're going to make it a public utility now. I know we can trust all these organizations now. We're getting the truth. I'll give you some more of that truth next.